Some weddings are beautiful. But Ibirọ Koka and Femi Abíyọ's wedding, it was unforgettable. The white cathedral stood tall as guests filled the entrance, laughter and excitement echoing beneath the morning sky. Inside, at the altar, Femi adjusted his suit. His best friend leaned closer, tapping his back lightly. "Are you ready?" Femi inhaled and nodded. "I'm ready." Then the doors opened. Every head turned. Ibirọ stepped in, radiant, breathtaking, and beside her, her younger sister, Kaninsolo, holding her arm with pride and quiet emotion. Step by step, they walked down the aisle, eyes locked on the man waiting at the altar. The vows were spoken. The rings exchanged. And when they kissed, the entire cathedral rose in applause. Moments later, they stepped out hand in hand into chairs, camera flashes, and showers of petals. Guests surrounded them, celebrating, capturing memories that would last forever. But that was only the beginning. By evening, the celebration had transformed into a grand Nigerian reception, music loud, fabrics rich with color, family dancing freely. Money spread in joy. Laughter everywhere. When the music faded, they were alone. Just whispers. Soft laughter. Fingers intertwined. A perfect beginning. Or so it seemed. 1 month later. After a long day of meetings, contract reviews, and quiet authority behind her executive desk,
Ibirọ went home.
When they arrived at the mansion, the chauffeur stepped out first, opened her door, then closed it gently behind her as she walked in gracefully. Inside, the house felt unusually still. Normally, there would be subtle movement, staff passing through the hallway, distant kitchen sounds, a soft greeting from someone nearby. This evening, there was nothing. Her heels echoed softly as she walked upstairs toward her room, loosening the buttons of her blazer, thinking only about changing and resting. Then, she heard a faint sound. So subtle she dismissed it. And just as she began to turn back, a sudden strike. A brutal blow landed on her forehead. Her body jerked backward in shock before she could even scream. Another hit followed, heavier, disorienting, and the world around her began to spin. Her hand reached out, grasping at the air, voices overlapping. Then, darkness swallowed everything. Minutes later, the silence of the mansion was shattered by the wail of ambulance sirens. Paramedics rushed in, lifting her onto a stretcher, her body motionless, her breathing faint but present. As they wheeled her toward the ambulance, her husband ran beside them, shouting in panic, "What happened? What happened to my wife?" No one answered. At the hospital, doctors worked quickly and intensely, stabilizing her condition. After several tense minutes, the doctor reassured her husband that she would likely regain consciousness soon. Relieved, he called her sister. Moments later, while she lay alone in the VIP room, a quiet figure disguised as a nurse slipped inside. Without revealing a face, the person injected a toxic substance into her foreline and disappeared. Within minutes, the monitors began to scream. Doctors rushed back in, attempting to revive her, but the situation had changed. She was fading fast. The husband was informed that she might not survive. In the urgency of the moment, he was presented with an emergency consent form requesting permission for organ donation to save another critical patient. Believing it was the right decision, and claiming it was what she would have wanted, he signed. By the time her sister got to the hospital, it was too late. The corridor felt colder than it should have. Her sister was already gone. A doctor sat across from a different family, a young man's parents who had been waiting for weeks, praying for a miracle. Their son's condition had worsened. Time was running out. The doctor spoke carefully. A compatible heart has just become available. The mother covered her mouth, tears spilling instantly. whispering a quiet, trembling "Thank you, God." Her sister arrived, only to discover that the consent had already been given. Shock turned into anger and grief, but before she could fully protest, the medical team moved swiftly. Ibirọ was wheeled toward the operating theater. Her sister ran beside the stretcher, crying desperately. "Wake up, please wake up, don't leave me." Outside the theater doors, Kaninsala wept openly. She didn't need confirmation if the surgery had begun, her sister was already gone. Femi stood nearby, restless, pacing, grief hidden behind trembling breaths. Inside, the operation proceeded. When it was done, a nurse gently covered Ibirọ's face, a quiet, final gesture. Hours later, a nurse approached them, gently presenting a small urn. She froze. "You cremated her." Her confusion turned to anger as she realized Femi had signed the approval. "That's not our tradition." "Why would you do this?" she demanded, stepping away from him as he tried to explain through tears. Just then, a stretcher rolled past, the transplant recipient being moved to recovery. Kaninsala barely looked. Moments later, she sank to the floor, clutching the urn to her chest, crying. Femi lowered himself beside her. From a half-open doorway, someone watched them in silence. And neither of them noticed.